closed stances and grounded shots. So this is related to the footwork, getting into the footwork and movement. Closed stances. For God's sake, guys, why do we teach only closed stances to young kids? So we have closed stance backhand, closed stance forehand. I mean, I have kids who've come to me, they've never learned an open stance. They've never learned a semi-open stance. They could be 12 or 13 years old, and for years the coach said to them, you gotta step into the ball and transfer your weight. Like if you go for a lesson, and that's the crux of the lesson, like the heart of every lesson is step into the ball, transfer your weight. I mean, come on, you got, there's a lot better teaching that can be done than just that, guys. That's pretty basic and really not that important anymore. You know, the game is rotational. The game is becoming more and more airborne. The evolution of the tennis game has become more airborne, more rotational. I just wish coaches would acknowledge that and just understand that stepping into the ball is not a bad thing. You know, necessarily. It's good to learn. You have to learn how to square up the stance. You have to learn how to step forward into shorter balls. But most of the game is so high speed now. The game is, pushing players into the corners or the recesses of the court. And you have to have a really fantastic open stance and semi-open stance. And you're going to get in the air a lot. There's a lot of balls where you're going to get airborne, you're going to load and explode, leave the ground, and you have to learn how to do that with good balance. And I just think it's a shame, like totally old school. By the way, it creates stiffness. It creates a very linear swing. One of the things that I try to get with the modern swing shapes is more of a parabolic swing shape, which is like a circular swing shape, like a hook in boxing rather than a straight punch. And we teach all these kids to step forward and punch straight ahead, very linear, create stiffness, and then we add those follow-throughs that I talked about that also kind of encourage stiffness and tightness. And what do you get? You get players who don't adapt well to difficult balls. They don't move that well laterally or backwards. They don't defend that well. We don't teach them good open stance. And we have players who are very limited in their movement skills, and they don't receive the ball very well. They have tight swings and very linear swings when the whole game has changed. The whole game is there's a lot of rotational elements to the ground stroke technique in terms of the hips. The stances are more and more open. The players are getting more and more airborne, consistently airborne. Obviously not every shot, but in many situations, players are getting more airborne, and we don't teach that. Nothing. We don't teach that. We teach the kids to stay on the ground. Stay on the ground. I have players who come to me. They say the coach said always be on the ground. Always, never leave the ground. Stay on the ground and step in. And if you think that's the best way to teach a young kid, I don't think I'm going to be able to convince you. If you're a diehard, like classic, classical method, tradition. I mean, tradition's got to change at some point. When the whole game's changing, at some point you got to wake up and change. Change with the world. All right.